What's up, Galaxy Geeks? So, welcome back to the Galaxy Geeks Hangout. We are just, talking about the newest news, hanging out. You know how it goes. What's up, Jonathan?
What's up?
So, first off, starting out, basically, if you haven't checked out the channel yet, we have trailer reactions, movie reviews, all the shorts that you could dream of because I have problems. We got it all, basically. But so today we are going to be talking about like 5 or 6 different stories just because I found them very interesting. We've got Ant-Man. We got the fact that Namor showing up in Kang Dynasty. You have Lord of the Rings movies showing up. You got Super Mario being pushed 2 days sooner. You got Mando preview that we're going to talk about all about Mando. And, then we're going to take your comments, your suggestions, your everything. Also, if you want to leave a super chat, we have not received one yet because, I don't blame anybody. But if you want to go ahead and leave us a super chat, basically, please do that because we love, we love answering questions, love hanging out. How's your day?
I work third shift, so my day was pretty good. I was asleep.
Yeah, my day was I could take a nap right now because, that's how things work around here, right? But, I'm happy we're hanging out, especially on Tuesday, because somebody messes up yesterday.
Well, you have car trouble, you fix it, you don't get in bed till 12, third shift. Things happen.
Yeah, that's what they all say.
Yeah, that's what all you day workers like to think.
I know, right? Our lives are, like, easy, right? But no, to start out, I mean, it's a conversation we kind of started last week, but, might as well dive into it, is the fact that Ant-Man and the Wasp Quantumania dropped 69.9%. That is insane. That is the biggest Marvel movie drop in the MCU from week 1 to week 2. That's insane.
Yeah, I first saw it dropping. We talked about it last week. And initially, both you and I found certain parts enjoyable. But I don't know about you, but as the week goes on, I just kept thinking about it and thinking about it. The movie began to sour with me.
Yeah, that's the sad part about like it shouldn't. We should be like more hyped about it, especially because it's the beginning of Phase 5. But you're right. You feel like almost like that. You don't feel good afterwards. It's not sitting like better and better. It's just feeling worse because it feels almost empty.
The only part that still sits well with me is Kang, is the portrayal by the actor for Kang. And I thought, again, he did an excellent job. He deserves all the accolades and credit he can get. I am very excited for his part. I really hope that Kang gets resurrected in some capacity.
That's my hope.
Especially for Kang Dynasty, because the ones that we saw in the end credit scene just did not do it for me.
They were lackluster, to be honest.
They were very lackluster. I think he was pushed way too hard at the end, and that's what happened there. Though the percentage of the drop is the real story.
Yeah, like the fact that it dropped 69.9%. That's a massive drop from week 1 to week 2. There's always a drop. Marvel movies are always front loaded. Their first week is really heavy, and then there's normally a massive drop to week 2. Normally it's because most people want to go to a Marvel movie first week so they don't get spoiled. And then week 2 is normally your casuals, and then it just kind of falls after that. But a 69.9% is really bad. That is really bad for Marvel. I guarantee Marvel is worried because their Phase 4 and now Phase 5, most of their movies have been very front-loaded, and they're going downhill. Like, money-wise, they're doing okay, but this one, they might not make their money back. I mean, it's going to be close. They might be close to breaking even or barely making a profit, but that's not a normal Marvel movie.
No, it's not. Normally it's a casual drop. It goes down and down and down. This one is just highlights what everyone else has been feeling. All the reviews on both sides that have really just not enjoyed this movie. I mean, as it sits with you, the comedy tends to fall on deaf ears. Even the storyline just does not make a lot of sense.
Yeah, it's a tough one to say, but let me ask you this, because we can talk about the movie and how we didn't enjoy certain parts of it. But let me ask, why is this one not doing as well? Because let's be honest, do you think the marketing was bad for this movie?
No, the marketing was actually what got me excited for it. The marketing actually one made me want to go see it. It is one. I think Ant-Man is a hard sell for the gigantic Avenger level threats.
Well, it didn't feel like an Ant-Man movie. It didn't feel
No.
like an Avenger movie. It didn't feel like an Ant-Man movie. And I think one issue with this movie too, and I've not heard anyone mention this, and I think this might have been an issue. You made it this big deal, but you only had Ant-Man as your hero. There was no other real heroes other than his daughter and Wasp. That there was, if it was this big threat with Kang, I feel like he needed someone to work off of, like someone like a Falcon, or well, Captain America now, or a Winter Soldier, or someone to be that straight man for his comedy, basically, to kind of give you like co-leads, kind of like what you did with Thor Ragnarok and Hulk, like Thor and Hulk in that movie. You had co-leads who kind of worked together, kind of worked off each other. Thor was the main character, but you had someone for Thor to work off of. I don't think Ant-Man had that person to work off of, even though it should have been Wasp. Wasp should have been the person he worked off of, but no.
But the family just seemed disjointed. You had two separate storylines playing out like they were two separate families. You had Ant-Man and his daughter. Then you had the original Ant-Man, Hank Pym, and his family. It felt like they were cut in half as opposed to one cohesive unit, like they should have been, simply for the sake of Ant-Man's daughter calling him grandpa.
Man, I will say Marvel's got a problem. Marvel has got to, and I think they're starting to back up and reevaluate everything, because I guarantee their work. I guarantee that they are saying, okay, there is a problem here. We have to work on this.
I think most franchises are in a very difficult position, but there is something later we're going to talk about. We can delve into the franchise issue a little bit more.
Yeah, but in saying that, our next story that we're going to dive into is the fact that Namor is showing up in Kang Dynasty, and this is the most no-duh story. It's confirmed. I've got to look at the story. I couldn't find it at the time, or I was rushed. But no duh. I mean, it doesn't shock me at all. You are bringing all these new characters in. Kang is technically an anti-hero. Kind of brought.
Depends on your perspective. Like, some view him as villain, some as a hero, some as a little in between.
Anti-hero. That's why I say anti-hero.
Yeah, I tend to lean a little bit more towards the villain side, because it's like actions, consequences. Do the actions really justify?
But you call Deadpool an anti-hero, and he kills everyone.
Yeah, but Deadpool is a force of chaos. He has no reason in his brain. Meanwhile, Namor is a coherent human being.
So let me ask you this: do you think that are you excited for Kang Dynasty, or how are you feeling about it?
I think it'd be interesting. I very much am excited because of the Kang portrayal. If we get that Kang in Kang Dynasty, then I think my excitement level will skyrocket.
That's the hope. I'm kind of hoping for that.
Yeah, the end of Ant-Man was really what pushed my expectations for that a little bit down, because I'm like, okay, I like everything that I'm hearing about Kang Dynasty, but what Kang am I getting?
Well, my guess is you're getting all of them. I think you're going to get all these Kangs are going to be in control of one multiverse, and they're going to combine all the multiverses into one multiverse. And so this Kang's going to own this part of the world, kind of like Secret Wars, which we are getting. And so each Kang is controlling each part of the world, basically, or the multiverse. And so this Kang owns the Amazing Spider-Man universe. This Kang holds the Spider-Man universe. Like, this Kang owns the X-Men universe. I mean, they're all owning different ones, and they all combine into one multiverse instead of the multiple multiverses, basically.
Which I am excited for that portion, because that opens up possibilities. That opens up Fantastic Four. That opens up X-Men.
I think, well, Fantastic Four's coming in the next couple of years.
Mm.
That movie, we should be hearing news probably Comic-Con who's cast for Fantastic Four.
You think do you think they're still gonna go with a John Krasinski, or do you think
No, that's out of the way. That's gone. You're not gonna see John Krasinski. I'm hoping for a man, he's the main guy from You.
Oh yeah, he would make a good one.
He would be great. I think he's got that like charisma, that darkness that that's needed for Fantastic Four for Reed Richards. Reed needs to be the smartest man in the room that's got some darkness to him, that has this edge to him that you don't want to mess with if he ever snapped. You always want him on your side, because if he snapped, he would be the worst bad guy. Because in the Ultimate storyline, he actually becomes, I think I can't remember his name, but basically he becomes the bad guy in that storyline, and he's rough.
Yes, because Reed is calculating to the point of extreme. He views people as variables. So if he believes the outcome actually does outweigh his actions.
Yeah, that's why I say it's...
Which in many storylines does make him the villain, and at one point even made Doctor Doom seem like a hero and a better father, certainly, to Reed Richards' own children.
Yeah, there's a reason why Reed's kids really like Doctor Doom.
Yeah, I can't remember what his daughter calls Doom. She calls him
I don't even remember.
something. She basically considers him family.
Yeah, I think it's Uncle
Doom or something like
Uncle. It's not Doom.
No,
Do you remember his name? Like an actual name?
Victor Von Doom.
Yeah, Victor. Uncle Victor.
Yep, that's it.
But I'm excited for Kang Dynasty. I think it'll be good. I'm a little worried for it. But honestly, sadly, because of where we are with the Marvel Universe, I don't like talking about Marvel as much as I used to.
And that's a bad thing, because Marvel was the franchise that was unshakable.
That was my favorite franchise.
For a long time, Marvel has been king. It has been the one that you pump out a movie and it hits gold. But the last phase and certain movies just on the beginning end of this phase, it just seems lackluster. It seems fatigue. It seems like they're formulaic in a way that is not good.
I think the problem with it is, I don't think it's just formulaic. I think when we've talked about fatigue, I don't think it's superhero fatigue. I think it's bad movie fatigue, or meh movie fatigue. It's not the best movies are fine. Most of the movies that have come out have not been great. They've just been fine. And Marvel was making great. Like during Phase 3, I would say I don't think there was a bad or a meh Phase 3 movie. I think every single Phase 3 movie. I think the last meh movie was Avengers 2, Age of Ultron. That was the most meh, and it wasn't even that bad if you go back and watch it.
Yeah, here's my thing. Marvel needs to adapt. Yes, you are right about superhero fatigue. A lot of people, it is still very in vogue. And as we know, every age kind of has their own thing. There was a Western age and the action movie phase. They go in and out of style. But I think we're at a phase right now where Marvel needs to adapt. They need to adapt very quickly, because I think the simple action movie flick of having a very simple storyline like Ant-Man and the Wasp, where they just defeat the villain, no real sense to it, no real broad implications, is over.
Actually, I think it's the opposite. I think people miss that, because we're not getting those movies. We're really not. The most movie that was simple was Black Adam. But even Black Adam had a more messy, like, storyline-wise. I think people want to go back to simple. I think they want something. They want to see a hero be a hero. They don't want the deconstruction of characters or just the messiness of the multiverse. I think people want to go back to simple.
I agree with they don't want the deconstruction of their heroes. But I believe that the plot, the storyline overall, should at least give the hero something to strive for. Not just that he battles in a unknown bad guy who has very vague ideas of ruling the world, and then they defeat them. I want something a little bit more. I want to understand why they're doing this. What is my hero struggling against?
Well, and I think the problem with Kang is, I think Marvel assumed people knew Kang more than what they do. Kang is big in the comics, but unless you're a comic book fan, you're not going to know Kang. I think Thanos was a little bit easier because Thanos is just this big old monster looking alien. And it's easier to get a everyday audience to go, "Oh, who is this guy? What is going on? Oh, we just saw the power of this one stone. What is happening? What does he want?" And so that was what we were left with at the end of Avengers. Kang is not that. He's calculating. I kind of wish they had made him more like in the shadows. I think Ant-Man and the Wasp, like, I get why they went with that storyline, but like, I wish they had kind of kept him more in the shadows, kind of calculating in the background.
Because also, here's the thing with Thanos. Thanos was actually well explained. We actually got a portion where his entire idea, his philosophy was spread out. Hey, too many resources, everything's finite. He said, I'm going to make it a paradise by basically killing. He was a eugenics person.
You know what's really where I think Marvel has a problem right now? They dove right into Kang too quickly. There's no Avengers movie before then. They should have, before you did Kang Dynasty, there should have been another Avengers movie or a new Avengers movie. That's what it should have been, either a new Avengers or a young Avengers. You needed to get your audience to like your new cast, to like these new characters, to find a reason for them to come together. You don't have that until Kang Dynasty. That's not good. You need to connect these characters sooner, because that's why, like, Avengers, the villain was Loki. Loki at that time wasn't that big of a villain if you think about it, but it brought your characters together. They needed that before they did the full Kang Dynasty, I feel. I know that they're leaning back on Endgame, but I think your audience needed to reconnect. I think instead of them going forward, I think they needed to kind of take some steps from phase one and say, all right, let's have this first phase after Endgame to build slowly to something. There was something it was building to, except for Kang Dynasty, and that's almost like building to the end instead of having like middle phases.
Yeah, I agree. I think Marvel and DC both have a problem right now. Their problem is that they have these overarching storylines that they want to create. They have their beginning and their end, and their middle is really fuzzy, but they're doing so without cementing who the sides are. Like in DC, we're getting a
Authority.
the authority before we even have a concrete superhero team.
Yeah, we don't have the Justice League. We're going to have the Authority for the Justice League.
And we'll still have Superman, but is that going to be where they're leading that, or are they leading the Authority to be more hero, which is really weird to me because the Authority is a parody of them.
Yeah, it's really strange.
But then with this, you don't have your new team cemented. We don't have Captain America. We don't have Iron Man. We have Spider-Man, but is he going to be the new face? He could be, but he's technically him, the new Captain America, and Bucky are the only ones that actually have history to be cemented as heroes.
Well, I mean, technically you have Captain Marvel as well. I mean, you cannot forget Captain Marvel.
Yeah, she's in there, but she's always been more of a lone wolf. I don't really see her participating in the same capacity.
Kind of the same way as like Doctor Strange as well. He's more of a... He's technically not an Avenger. Technically.
Yeah, they kind of do the Batman approach of I'm there when you need me, but I do my own thing.
So, in saying that, the next subject that we've got is one that I think Jonathan is so excited. He cannot wait for this. He's just jumping up and down. And that is Lord of the Rings.
I cannot express how much I hate this idea because I am a Lord of the Rings fan.
Let's explain the belief, what's going on. Basically, Warner Brothers came out this week, or last week, and stated that they are planning a Lord of the Rings movies to continue the franchise because they need money. That's all. That's the only reason. There's no story reason. There's nothing else. They need money. That's why they want a Lord of the Rings movie. Is they need money, and that's how the world works.
As a very protective member of the Tolkien universe, I just do not like this idea. It's the it's the basic principle of we're in trouble, so let's break the glass. Okay, we still have the rights to Tolkien. It doesn't matter if we're going to tell his story properly, because here's the thing: they've already told this story in its completion. We already have the Peter Jackson movies. We already have the Hobbit movies, and we have. I'm not even going to say the Rings of Power because it, to me, is not continuity. It has nothing to do with Tolkien.
Well, we'll talk about that in a second.
Absolutely nothing to do with his lore.
Oh, be kinder about Rings of Power. Just tell your love for it. Like, let the audience know how much you love Rings of Power.
I am being my kindest right now about it. That thing is complete and utter trash. But here's the thing. And this is a problem for all franchises. They all break the glass on says, okay, we can attach this name to the movie because we need money. And so the audience will come to it because they're loyal fans.
Let's be honest, that's the only reason why people went to see Winnie the Pooh, Blood and Honey. That was the only reason, because it was a name. That movie was hot. I heard it was hot garbage. But they went because we are in the age of franchises, and I don't blame them. I don't blame them at all. It's like, okay, this franchise is coming out. Oh, cool. We can put our names to it. But the problem with the Lord of the Rings is there is nothing left to dig.
The only place you can go anymore is the Silmarillion. And the Silmarillion is really filled with lore. It's filled with mentions of battle, but it's not specific in its nature of like getting to know characters.
Let me ask, if they brought back Peter Jackson, would you feel a little better?
If they brought back Peter Jackson, I'd feel a lot better, but at the same time, I don't think Peter Jackson would do it. I think he would have the same opinion as fans that the story has been told.
I think he'd come back for money. If he can get the dump truck of money going into his lap, like I guarantee Warner Brothers will do.
He said no to the Hobbits.
Well, but that's also why I say I think this leadership is able to get people more than you would think. Like I mean, it'll be interesting if they can get the Harry Potter cast back for Cursed Child, because all of them said they were done, but money talks, and
it does. But at the same time, it's the proper balance. You have these franchises, you have the rights to them. Okay, so technically you have the ability and the right to make the movies. However, you are doing so in a way that is money centric, to where you're disrespecting the main franchise. You're putting in ideas of yours as opposed to ideas that either the original source material or the author intended, and you're creating something that is really offensive to a lot of the fans.
Yeah, but money.
Yeah,
I know
it's money over art.
I know. It's sad to say we live in a world where franchises rule, and if you can have a franchise, but the problem is there's some franchises that they've not dove into that they could. Like, there's so many different book series and different things they could dive into. But I think right now a lot of studios are kind of worried. Like, they really are worried because all of them are hurting. I mean, Disney right now is hurting. That's why they hit glass for bringing back Toy Story 5 and bringing back Zootopia 2 and Inside Out 2 and what's another one? Frozen 3. Like, those are safe bets. That's why they did them as safe bets.
Well, they always do it. I mean, anytime they get in trouble, Disney will go back to the original storylines to make you feel like children again. Anytime DC gets in trouble, they break the Batman glass.
Oh, Batman comes out every time. If DC's in trouble, Batman, bring him out. Let's go. Let's go, Batman. Batman.
Yep. And Star Wars does things similar. They all do the same thing, but it still goes back to what I said. It's disrespecting fans because there are so many good storylines. We no longer live in the age of risk, of taking the extra mile to create art that is or make new fans. Like, there are a lot of good book series to make things out of. I'm a fan of a series called Red Rising, which is kind of a mix between Game of Thrones and some Star Wars Dune technology.
Oh, that'd be cool.
That would make a great HBO series, but no one wants to do the risk.
Yeah, but also, I, you know, take leaning back on nostalgia is not always a bad thing.
Mhm.
As long as you respect the nostalgia. Look at Luke Skywalker bringing back for Mandalorian season 2. That was incredible. People were so excited and they respected the character when they brought him back. The fans loved it because they saw the character that they loved so much and they got to watch his rise and him be Luke. So, Lord of the Rings.
Mm-hmm.
But the reason why people did not enjoy the Rings of Power was the character of Galadriel was not the same character as she was in the original Lord of the Rings. She just felt different. Like, what was your thoughts of Galadriel in that show?
In the original trilogy, she was kind. She was regal in her ways. She understood her abilities and where she was lacking. She inspired trust in people. She inspired respect. This Galadriel,
She was a butt.
she was a pompous little jerk.
She was a butt. She was a butt a lot.
Mhm.
Like, and I felt like you could see like growth in the character. It's just there was problems. Like, there were massive problems
But
with that story.
there's no leadership. There's actually there's a lot of problems with the lore about her even being a general. Just irks me to no end. It's like she is royalty.
She's royalty, not a lord, right?
Yep. She would have designed tactics and strategy for like war and things like that, but she would not have actually engaged in war.
Nah, I get it.
But also then there is then there was the villain problem Rings of Power had.
The lack thereof.
Yeah, the pretty boy effect.
Uh,
Oh,
the fact that we never knew who Sauron was, never, not throughout the entire show. There was no way that that pretty boy was Sauron. It was such a surprise.
I mean, don't you know it was always the old man in the woods?
Yeah, that was Sauron, right?
Yeah,
right.
that was Sauron. It's not like he detailed their entire plan in prison for the rings.
Ah,
But the real problem that I had with it is that in the Silmarillion, when he was the follower, he was known as the gift giver. He disguised himself. He became friends with people, but he didn't. He would have never taken the form of a human. He absolutely despised humans.
he had to be a pretty boy.
He was meant to be actually a parody of the devil, of was for coming in and tempting people and into his thrall. That was the idea behind Tolkien's interpretation of Sauron. But this one was just pretty boy. Please come to my side, Galadriel. What are you fighting against? I don't know what I'm fighting against, but come to my side. I'm pretty to look at.
Oh goodness. But no, I hate that. That's why I say with these new movies, I'm hoping that they can go to Silmarillion because I think they have access to the Silmarillion and can actually tell a good story and respect the history, respect Tolkien with these new movies. And I think it's gonna be hard though. Like, I mean, you got to go back into the Silmarillion, which is the time span that the Rings of Power is dealing with. So, are you gonna have to double up your time period here?
Or is Warner Brothers and Amazon going to go to war with it?
That's what I'm curious because each one owns different rights. So,
I mean, personally, if these movies are going to be made, then I feel more comfortable with Warner Brothers because they have earned my trust in the past with the original franchise.
also, I kind of hope they go back to the imagery that they use in those original movies because I will say one problem with the Rings of Power, it almost was too pretty. It was almost too glossy. It was almost like too modern looking.
It was. I like the originals. It was dulled. There was greediness. There was actual complexity to the world. Whereas Rings of Power it felt like it could be any old sci-fi show.
Yeah, it didn't feel like Lord of the Rings.
No.
But in saying that, our next one that we're going to be talking about is Super Mario. It gets moved back 2 days. It's going to be releasing on Tuesday instead of Thursday. I wanted to bring this one up because I want to just ask your opinion. What do you think about Super Mario?
I really don't have like a deep opinion because I didn't grow up as a fan or anything.
Really?
Real.
You weren't a Mario guy?
No, I was not.
We're not friends anymore. I'm so I am so disappointed in you right now. I cannot believe that you weren't into Mario.
No, just not my thing. I mean, I played Mario Karts as a kid, if that counts, but
That it counts somewhat, sort of, kind of.
sort of,
But
kind of.
what do you think about the movie?
I think as a non-fan or anything, that it looked good. I mean, it looked like something that I could carry like my godson to, or anybody else, and just have a good time and kind of go blank for a couple hours.
I can't wait. I think it looks so good. It looks like it respects the history of Mario. It looks like it's going to have so many Easter eggs and references to the original games. It's funny. We talked about how we're not as excited about Marvel right now. I'm so excited for the video game universe. Like, I cannot wait. I love it because I love Nintendo. I love the fact that they're putting so much heart and joy into the show. It looks so much fun. I cannot wait. I know it sounds weird to be so excited about that kind of movie, but you can tell that they are putting heart into Mario, and they're setting up I think next week they're doing their final trailer reaction for not trailer reaction. It'll be our final trailer reaction for Super Mario, and people are just excited. I think the movie is going to do great. It looks like it loves the original source material. I think Chris Pratt as Mario is going to work because I think they're working on the voice. I think they're going to have it. I have hope.
I like Chris Pratt, so I'm very confident in that. I will say, not in the lore aspect, but in the video game aspect, that it does look like they're being true to it, which is very hard to do because video games are a very hard medium to bring to screen because so much of it is played through first person.
Yeah, but Mario works because Mario is very. It's not narrative driven, but it can be. There is a narrative where you're going to save the princess. There is and in this one, we're going to save Luigi, which ain't that much newer either. Poor Luigi. I feel bad for him because they always make him just like almost the butt of the joke.
Yeah. He's the stupid cousin that you have that always gets into trouble.
I love Luigi though, even though honestly, I like playing as Luigi because he could jump higher.
Yeah.
Being able to jump higher as Luigi was always fun. But I love the fact that you can tell that they're putting a lot of heart in this. They're bringing in Mario Kart. I think they're going to bring in elements of Super Smash Brothers. I think they need to set up a Super Smash Brothers movie in the future because that would be bigger than the Avengers. Just saying, if they set it up right, that would be so cool.
Yes, I have played Super Smash Brothers, but that's because of him.
Yeah, hey, you enjoy it. So, all right, the final subject that the final subject we're going to do is Mandalorian Season 3. It comes out tomorrow. I cannot wait. The show just keeps looking better and better and better. What's your thoughts of the first 2 seasons of Mandalorian before we dive into Season 3?
I thought it was good. I mean, I'm more of a Lord of the Rings guy, but I do enjoy Star Wars. You and your wife are more Star Wars people for sure.
Look at our sign.
But for me, especially going into season 1, it was good. I mean, it was like a space western, something that I had that nitty gritty, down to earth style to it. Something that I think the other series within Star Wars have tried to capture, but to not the same popularity or
Did you
effect.
like Andor?
I thought Andor was slow, but as a whole, I thought it was a great political spy thriller.
I liked Andor. I actually really did. I think it's probably one of the top. I didn't like it at first because it was so slow, but I understand storyline wise why they did it. I think it sits better with you as it goes on. Like that show just really especially.
It's that better with me than Boba Fett in the beginning.
Oh yeah, Boba Fett. Or you mean Mandalorian 2.5?
Yeah, Mandalorian 2.5, which I started watching Boba Fett. Got really slow and kind of bored in the beginning. Then I saw that Mandalorian came back, so I finished it.
Here, let me ask you this. If you didn't watch Boba Fett, do you think you're going to be lost for Mandalorian Season 3?
You're going to be wondering, how did the child get back into his arms? And you told me before we started this conversation that it's been 2 years.
Yes, Dave Filoni talked about it today. I think it was Comic Book Movie that said basically that that the Mandalorian is set. Mandalorian season 3 is set 2 years after Mandalorian season 2. That Luke had Baby Yoda or Grogu. Everyone says Baby Yoda because I like it. We all do it, but Grogu has been with Luke for 2 years, so he had 2 years of training. So Grogu's gonna have some Force ability that he did not have before, and so I think this season is gonna be massive. Plus, you got Bo-Katan showing up, and she is going to want the Darksaber. I mean, we saw it in the photo here. That Darksaber is going to be what a lot of the fight's going to be, because whoever has Darksaber rules Mandalore. And Mando doesn't want to rule Mandalore, but there's this, I think there's going to be within the Mandalorian season 3 this season, there's going to be a civil war, because you got Mandalorian who is in the belief of the Vizsla clan, where you don't remove the mask. It's almost more of a religion. It's not really just a people group. It's a religion. That's what the Mandalorian are.
Yeah, she called his group
Zealots. And so then you've got Bo-Katan, who is a true leader. I mean, Bo-Katan at one time worked with the Vizsla clan. She did that in the Clone Wars, which she was incredible in Clone Wars. And so now you're going to see a storyline where she's going to want that Darksaber back, because she's going to want to rule Mandalore. So this season's going to be incredible. I cannot wait.
I may be wrong about this because, I'm not as much into the lore as you are, but if your heart is heavy, the sword in the Darksaber becomes heavier, isn't that?
Basically, yes. If you do not feel worthy, the blade is a lot heavier, but the more you just let the blade move with you, it's a lot easier. It's a lot different than a lightsaber.
That's what I was wondering, because we actually saw in Boba Fett him swinging the Darksaber around, it kind of becoming heavy as he was trying to fight with it the longer he went.
I will say, I cannot wait for tomorrow, because Mandalorian season 3 is going to be great. By the time, I'm probably going to clip this out and then release it with the Mandalorian, then we're going to release reactions to it, because we're going to do episode reactions, because it's going to be great. I cannot wait.
I'm very excited. I'm very curious to see where it goes, where the Civil War will go. Will Mando kind of feel more worthy of the sword, or will it go to Bo-Katan?
Also, what does Grogu have to do with all this? What does he start to lean more towards the Force, and does he start to have flashbacks from his past? Who saved Grogu? I think we're gonna find out who saved him. I heard an interesting rumor.
Which one?
I've heard two. One, Mace Windu saved him, which I would love to see Samuel L. Jackson back, because technically all that happened in Revenge of the Sith was his hands got cut off and he got thrown out a window, so he could technically return. Which I don't know if it fully works if he returns, not full, kind of, sorta. But I heard a funny one.
Which one?
Jar Jar!
Oh, dear Lord.
I say we need a Jar Jar movie. All Jar Jar, all the time. He can be Dark Jar Jar. He can be the Light Jar Jar. We need the Jar 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 Jars.
Just as long as Mando shoots him in the end.
Hey, Jar Jar is actually in the books. It's after the Aftermath books. Jar Jar is actually because of him basically giving up everything to the Empire. No one trusts him. No one liked him anymore, and so he basically went to the streets. He became a clown. He brought joy to children. That was what he did. It was a honor. It was also a way to look at him like kind of the eyes of what we saw growing up. Jar Jar was meant for kids. That's why he was created. He was meant for the kids to look to and to enjoy and laugh. But the adults hated him. And so it's kind of the same thing they showed in Star Wars, where the adults hated him. The children see him as a clown, but they find joy from him. He makes them laugh. It was kind of sweet.
That's sweet and nice after he gave Star Wars Stalin power.
Yeah. He was strict.
Yeah.
He was strict. But I think it'd be interesting. I'm not against Jar Jar doing it. I really not. I actually would be okay to see a return of Jar Jar because I think people have started to lighten up to him. I think people enjoy him more than they used to. Some more than others.
Yes, I think you're very wrong.
You would be shocked. I think people, especially for the actor who played Jar Jar, he actually he came out and they hated Jar Jar so much he went through a lot of depression and actually thought of committing suicide. It was a
Okay,
really
now that is wrong.
it was really sad.
Yeah, actors should never be made to feel that way for a character that they play. I don't enjoy certain characters. That doesn't mean I do anything or wish them any harm.
No, not at all. But I am so excited for Mandalorian season 3. I cannot wait to see what they bring. It's gonna be so good. But if you haven't already, hit the like button and comment what you think of the Mandalorian. Are you excited or not excited? And we're gonna dive into the comments before we end for today. So our comments, we've got Aaron Dickens, drink the go, Ant-Man. It's an old Native American ceremony, turd and shrooms, Ant-Man, creepy Disney. I'm very confused by all that. Yep, about the feedback. Thank y'all for catching that because I really appreciate it. I don't understand how Janet said she spent 30 years in the quantum realm, but in Endgame, Scott said that 5 years was 5 hours for him in the quantum realm. Yes! Yes!
That's something we pointed out last week, is the time just does not make sense.
Oh, it's so confusing. I don't get it. I don't understand the timeline anymore with the quantum realm. It's so confusing.
Like, here's the thing. If Janet came back, the amount of time that she should have spent there, her husband should be dead.
Yeah. I mean, it doesn't really make sense. They didn't explain it well. I think there is a way to. I think you say, oh, Scott was in one area of the quantum realm where time is faster, but the area that Janet went to, it was
runs more like ours.
Yes, and so that's just dialogue. They just didn't use that dialogue. I think they needed to. That's the problem with the movie in general.
It focused so much on these little comedy moments that all the world building, the explaining, all the things that could have built up character were thrown away. We got instead MODOK and his "I'm an Avenger now" moments.
Alright, so then Jim Swimmer, I like Andor, and I hope Mando can go crazy now that Grogu is with Luke. Grogu is not with Luke anymore. He is back with Mando. In Boba Fett, the last 3 episodes of Boba Fett is basically a continuation of the Mandalorian show. That's, honestly, the fact he brings that up is massive because he didn't know. And so, I think the everyday audience might be confused if they didn't watch Boba Fett.
Yeah, I would encourage everyone to at least watch the end, the beginning.
Watch those last 3 episodes. I think they're worth it. The last 3, especially with Luke. Those scenes with Luke are the best Star Wars I have ever seen. They are incredible. Like the last 3 episodes, the 2 episodes before the finale of Boba Fett were probably the best Star Wars I've ever seen.
Yeah, those episodes, and then of course the last couple episodes of Obi-Wan with him and Vader are probably the best of the Star Wars series outside of Mandalorian that has been created.
Well, it looks like our comments, we don't really have any other ones right now, but I was going to ask you, I wanted to talk to you about this because, did you ever watch Wizards of Waverly Place?
Yeah.
I was watching, they've got a new podcast out, and it just kind of hit me today. I was watching it, it was with Selena Gomez. I feel so bad for her. Like, her life just went downhill so quickly, and I know this is completely off topic of what everything else we're talking about, but it just kind of hit me like how much like fame and fortune and all this celebrity, it's not a good thing for people.
Oh yeah, she's one of the more public of the Disney kids, but look up any of the Disney kids from our generation, because there seems to be a new crop. Oh, like the guy from Cobra Kai,
Ortega.
Their parents seem to be more balanced with them than the previous generation was, because the kids that grew up on Disney when we were kids, they all went into drugs. They went into this, they went into that. They steep depression, a couple of them, suicidal tendencies. I mean, that type of fame at that young of an age uh, where you're trying to be something and still trying to figure out who you are. It's I would never put my kid through it.
No.
I just wouldn't. It just seems more damaging to the person that they're trying to become than anything.
And I just watching her, just seeing her growth and seeing that she was talking to him like it was the newest Wizard of Waverly Pod. It's a new podcast they're doing. They're going through each episode of the show, which is really interesting. I like the podcast a lot.
Kind of reminds me of what's the actor who played Lex Luthor for Smallville?
Oh, the Smallsville podcast.
Yep.
The Talkville.
Yep, Talkville.
It's the same thing. There's one for Talkville. There's one for which Waverly Place. There is one for that's Declassified. There's
one from that Declassified.
Yeah, that's
because I actually used to watch that. That was fun.
Oh, it's good. I mean, it's very you find out more about them as I've gotten older, and they've gone through some stuff. The Coachella episode was very interesting. Oh, also, you have Kim Possible, the actress who voiced Kim Possible. She's been doing a lot. I mean, it's really interesting to say the least. But
it's kind of weird how one show in your career can kind of define you.
It really can, but I think it's because we grew up in such a nostalgic era where these shows were so important to us. But I don't know, just after watching Selena today and seeing what she went through and the growth, I feel so sad for her. But I'm also praying for her. I'm hoping that her life can get better. I'm hoping that now that she's on a new show right now, Only Murders in the Building. That one is doing great, and I think she's really enjoying it. It's got, man, I cannot remember his name, Steve Martin in it, and I've heard incredible things. I need to check it out.
I haven't heard of it, but I definitely will check it out, see if it's something I might want to be interested in.
And I also read a report where she mentioned that she's like been gaining some weight, but she's happy because she's like, I'm happy to finally gain some weight and not have to focus so much on my looks all the time. And I'm like, thank goodness. Like, I think the looks market is awful.
Yeah, you should always try to be the healthiest version of yourself. But for her specifically, I think she went through. Did she go through some type of anorexic?
I wouldn't be shocked. She went through so much. I mean, she had so many boyfriends. She was searching for love, and it just went downhill for her. But in saying that though, I hope for the best for her. So everyone, thank y'all for hanging out with us. We got another comment from Jim Swimmer. Scream 6 is going to be awesome. I cannot disagree. I've got to check. I haven't watched Scream 5 yet. I need to check it out. I know Scream 6 is coming out soon, and I mean, the actors and actresses they've got coming in is going to be great.
Wasn't Ortega in one of them?
Oh, yeah. Jenna Ortega's in 5, and she's going to be in 6, which they're going to market her like crazy, because anything you do of her trends like crazy.
Yeah, she's an upcoming actress. I think she'll be great in a lot of roles. I have one for DC if they ever do it.
Which one?
I would love her for Raven.
You lean Raven. I lean Jessica Cruz. I think she'd be great for Jessica Cruz.
Yeah, that one too. I think either role she would do well in the market.
I personally don't want her to be Raven because I feel like she'd be typecast. Like she's gonna be that dark typecast character.
Yeah, I understand, but I just feel that because she likes the horror lifestyle. She likes to do all those type of characters that it would be in her wheelhouse.
Yeah. Oh, here's from Aaron Dickens. Mickey Mouse Club kids are effed. Can't disagree, sadly.
Yep.
They gain too much popularity too quickly. But saying that, everybody, thank y'all for hanging out. We'll have this next week. We'll probably do Monday because that's a better day. You couldn't do anything.
Well, life happens.
Life does happen, but this was fun. Hit the like button if you hung out with us, and in the replay, just comment what you thought of these discussions. If we were crazy or dumb, let us know, especially the Rings of Power stuff. If you thought we were just crazy, go ahead and let us know. But this was fun. I had a great time. You got drink the goo. That's how we end it. Drink the goo.